Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report. In this daily editorial, I am introducing a new company to all of you, one that was recently introduced to me just a few weeks ago. I've had a conference call with the company and worked through the presentation to get a better understanding of how this company is using AI for the hospitality sector, specifically hotels, resorts, vacation properties. The company is called Metaguest. It is traded on the CSE under the symbol METG. I am chatting with the president, Colin Keddy. Now, Colin, I first want to start off with kind of the overall product here that Metaguest is offering to hotels and resorts. It's in a way almost on a concierge front, the way that I understand it, but using AI so that people can, I guess, engage with the hotel, make plans when they are in their room. Explain to us how this product came together, please.
Yeah, will do. Thanks for having me on here, Corey. Much appreciated. I guess to really understand, why this product probably requires a little bit of understanding the problem within the industry. And this is really not something that's new to hospitality. When it comes to employment in hospitality, it's always been quite strained. When we had got this started, which was during the COVID time, it was only further exacerbated by that. So basically, what the idea was, initially when we'd first started offering this to the hotel industry, boutique or smaller size hotels gave them an opportunity to put, say, some sort of a mini bar, some functionality of being able to communicate in the guest room, similar to what some of the larger groups could do. And when the issue of COVID got at its worst and staffing was at an all-time low, basically hotels were coming back to us and saying, hey, we don't have enough people to communicate, whether that's for housekeeping or for maintenance or front desk, concierge, for valet. Is there a way that we could further expand out, this product, where what it does is allows you to get to what's that end goal? Nobody, wants to just simply have the call to reach out to get valet. Ultimately, you want to have your car there. So that's really kind of the genesis of where this thing started, back in the late 2019, 2020. And as I say, focused really out of the short-term rental into hotel just because of such the high demand. And that's exactly it, is just a service where every single room is digitally connected. You can make these requests, whether for housekeeping or for valet or front desk or early checkout, you name it, and just get you closer to getting a result straight away. Interestingly enough, the average request in a hotel is 30 minutes. So for all of us who live in this digital age of instant information, 30 minutes is kind of a lifetime.
So let's talk about market saturation then. This is still a fairly new product. So, how many hotels are you in? What's the geographic location of a lot of these hotels?
Yeah, so it is very new, not only for us, but the other groups within this space. It's kind of hard to believe that it's as uncharted as what it is. We know, TripAdvisor and Trivago, all these companies and groups with sort of the pre-travel tech that exists out there. There's all kinds of it that exists, but as far as the real time in room, there's very little. Actually, statistically, it's about 91% of the, and I'll speak towards the North American market is completely untapped. Now, what's also interesting about that stat is the North American market is the most tech savvy when it comes to doing any of these things. So it's quite interesting that, very little of this exists. So for us right now, we're in a little over 100,000 rooms throughout the US. We are in a number of different states. We kind of went all over, everywhere from your, side of the interstate kind of hotel to more dense areas over the last couple of years, really just to get an idea of, what makes sense, where are people using our services, where is the greatest benefit. And so, for example, Florida. Obviously, a high travel area. You've got all kinds of, and we haven't got into this part yet, Corey, but as far as the local experiences and other things that we can do and make arrangement with, Florida is huge for that. Same thing with New York, whether that's going to the Guggenheim or you want to plan for, horse and buggy in the Central Park. So we find that those huge tourist areas is really where the greatest level of interest is for us.
What about scale then? How do you scale this as a company? I assume just getting your system, your product used in more hotels and resorts.
Yeah, and I mean that's the beauty about, technology in general. It's hugely scalable, which ultimately means it can be hugely profitable. So right now, as I was saying, Corey, of those 100,000 plus rooms, which is around 300 hotels, and we're all over. We're Atlanta, we're Chicago, New York, Florida. The possibilities are really quite endless. As it stands right now, we've got about 600 hotels in waiting. So there's more people waiting to be onboarded than exist. Now, there is a bit of boots on the ground to this. This isn't just something that we simply switch on with a switch. Ultimately, and just to give some better understanding of what this is, so someone says, "Hey, I like this Metaguest in-room concierge service." So we'll have members from our team that'll reach out to that specific hotel and get a better understanding of, what's that demographic? Who's that person staying in that hotel? What kind of discretionary cash does, this individual have? And obviously that's going to vary from, your 3 star to your 5 star. And then what we do is just like one would expect from a concierge service, to create an actual bespoke list of, again, and this is where I was saying, Corey, beyond that, just, what can we do with the functionality inside the hotel to make the hotel better service you quicker, faster, and everything else. Real big driver in our business is, what about those neighboring businesses, right? When you go somewhere, and you go down to see concierge, hopefully there is a concierge. And if there is, I mean, ultimately, you want to know like where's the right place to go, right? I mean, anybody could do a Google search to look for a restaurant or a spa or whatever, but that's that expectation that you expect from concierge. So our team will, work with that hotel, what's the best restaurants or what's the best spas or, where are those local businesses that we should be connecting with, as we're staying in there. And as I said, then beyond that, it gives you the ability to then, what about attractions? What's going on within the city? And this is really where the cool part of the AI comes into play because the system, knows, what's going on in town. Like as we were talking about in New York earlier. So if there's some sort of, big art showing going on at the Guggenheim and everybody's going there, it's going to see that, it's going to pull that up and put that front and forward. If you were looking to going for a horse and buggy ride in Central Park, but rain, looks like we've got rain in the forecast. I mean, it's going to steer away from that. And so it's really scraping across all aspects of the net and, helping custom build an itinerary just as you try and do with a concierge service.
All right, we do need to talk more or less revenue model then. You obviously want this in the hands of everybody in hotels, but how do you work with hotels? How do you work with potential suppliers in terms of experiences, restaurants, other things that the AI might suggest? How do you, as MetaGuests, make money through all this?
Right, right. So, and that's a great question. And ultimately, most businesses that are around cities with high volume of hotel, they want to be advertising in that hotel. You think about not just, whether they got 500 rooms, an apartment might have, 500 apartments, but what's unique about that hotel is it's that constant turnover, right? You're catching people at a time when, possibly they're on vacation or they're there for business. They're looking for an experience. So as far as how we're monetizing this, we're partnering with that hotel to bring that local business in there. And so what we do is we bring local businesses in there, like I say, whether that's spa, restaurant, whatever that is, and we'll have them come in, on a monthly contract. And what's really cool about, the ability to market to hotel guests through what we're doing is, unlike in traditional way where maybe you've made some sort of deal with concierge and you're hoping that they're going to refer to your restaurant. Of course, there's no data or anything else to, confirm how much they're referring you over somebody else. This is allowing, you're in your room, you scan a QR code, and that person can peruse the 5 or 10 most suggested restaurants or spas or whatever by that hotel, and that's all done on a subscription basis. And so we know, of the millions of unique views that we're getting every single month, who they're looking at, getting all the way from not just seeing that advertisement, but going to an actual reservation. Let's say in the case of, let's say if it's a yoga class, we can get you all the way to getting a booking, getting that payment made. So you as that guest don't have to worry about if you went to concierge, hey, is there a yoga class in the neighborhood? Oh, there's one down the street. You walk down only to find out the classes are all booked. So this is getting you all the way end to end on that transaction. So it's extremely, like I say, not only do these neighboring businesses want to be in there, it's getting them all the way to the end of that transaction. So to get on a reoccurring revenue model with us, yeah, we've got well over, 550 different partnering businesses. Our attrition on the hotel and partnering business side has been not even a single percent over the last couple of years that we've done this, because again, it's just such a unique way that for them to advertise, and they're getting measurable results. There's data that they can see and measure, every single month.
What sort of revenue are we talking about then, Colin? Give us a breakdown of understanding it's still early on, but where the revenue is now for the company and what sort of growth factor you've experienced.
Yeah, so although we've been around for a couple of years, really sort of understanding what's important to the hotel, what are they looking for, how do we build this revenue model in a way that makes sense for them and makes sense for those neighboring businesses. We've really, as far as revenue, really started in April of 2023. So we're not even a couple of years. And, this was a few thousand, dollars per month. Since then, we've been on a consistent track of probably around 38% revenue increase month over month. So again, obviously, as we continue to onboard these hotels, they stay on. We're not losing our reoccurring revenue. So consistently since 2023 of April, it's been about 38% month over month.
So then, Colin, when it comes to, I guess, ramping up this sort of revenue, coming to a stage where the company is profitable but able to continue to reinvest back into the business, what should investors be watching for? What shows growth here? Is it simply in more hotels, or are there other partnerships we could be watching out for?
Well, it's definitely a combination of both. I would say first and foremost is that footprint for sure. So as our investor base grows, as we grow, as we have the revenue, as I commented, we've got more hotels in waiting to be onboarded than we can possibly handle. Clearly, the right problem to have, and the fact that we have no attrition, whether it's on our partnering business side, or it's the hotels or in the tickets, it's really about that footprint. So as we continue to, bring in, fresh capital, it's really all about scale. So that is the real driving factor. There isn't a lot that we need to change in respect to who we might be partnering with. But in saying that, we're constantly being surprised, as far as who wants to be advertising in the hotel. I mean, we've even had political parties, as I said, we're primarily, Corey, focused in the US. We in the recent election, I won't name, what side of the party, but we had political interest to be advertising within hotels. We've had, major pharmacy chains, looking to monopolize all things pharma. We are engaged right now with sports teams about unique marketing within the hotel space. I think people just, as I say, realize you're catching people at a very unique time where they're staying, and it's not always simply a stay, it's an experience. So, but I would say at the genesis of it's really about, growth and footprint, and the US, it's very green field out in front of us, but that's really our focus is just to grow right across the US over the next couple of years. We'd like to go from our current day, 300 hotels. We think very easily in the course of the next, 24 months, we can be 2,500, 3,000 hotels, no problem.
All right, let's talk corporately then. Let's get a little background on yourself as president of this company and also your CEO, Tony, please.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I've been in the business world myself for just a little under 30 years. I guess you could kind of refer to me as what people would say a serial entrepreneur. So I've been in a number of different businesses. I currently, own and operate another fund in the finance space. So certainly not, my first rodeo as far as this is concerned. And I've known our CEO, Tony, for a little over a decade. And, he's been talking about bringing this opportunity forward and taking this company public. So it's really been on my radar. And it was offered when he had said, hey, we want to grow the financing here. And he offered me this opportunity to get involved and help grow this business out. It was absolutely just a no-brainer. I mean, the ability to scale, the opportunity on the revenue side, is it's probably 70+% to the bottom line, which, on any of my other businesses that exist out there, you just don't see that number. That's typical tech or software, where there's far greater opportunity for that. So that's really my focus here is just more on that financial relationship, reaching out to the banks, brokers, and analysts has been my role. Tony has been in the software development business for forever. He's kind of the industry, if you will, more focused in the payment services side of it, or sometimes referred to as POS. Built up, grew a business back late 80s, early 90s. He sold off for around $50 million. So again, for him too, not his first trip around the block by any means. And yeah, just, I mean, you're a great programmer. Everything that we've done here, we've built this from the ground up. AI is really not something where there's a whole lot of, ability to patent and everything else, but everything that we have done here, we've done ourselves. It's fully proprietary, and, we think we've got something, really special. And, Tony's done an incredible job of leading that end of it.
All right, Colin, I'm going to wrap it up here. We've covered a lot of what the company is doing here and really the growth initiatives that continue. A couple quick notes on share structure. About 66 million shares outstanding, fully diluted about 77 million, large insider ownership of right around 42%. Everyone listening, please click that link in the show notes. Visit the Metaguest website to learn even more about the product. Send me any questions you have for Colin and the team, and I will follow up with him to get those addressed. Colin, thank you for this introduction. I'll touch base with you soon for a follow-up interview.